One is the time, and Mr. Matthiessen from Crossroads.
Good morning, Ken.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me this morning.
Now, again, folks, find out more. Just log on to supportcrossroads.com, and you can find out all kinds of information. Where do we stand right now? It's kind of crunch time, essentially, isn't it?
Yes, we are actually really excited about tomorrow night, Ken. We have a town hall meeting scheduled tomorrow night at 6 o'clock at the Charlotte Harbor Event Center. And this is a time that everybody can come out and support Crossroads. You can't go anywhere really around town now without seeing a billboard or a sign in the storefront window. If you get into the counter, usually by the cash register, there's another sign talking about Crossroads, and if you don't see that, you typically run into a conversation while you're there. Everybody in town's really talking, and one of the things that come up in almost every conversation is, what can I do? Everybody seems to be very upset that we're being shut down.
Well, I guess what's more upsetting is the fact that the lady who heads the Department of Juvenile Justice, her name escapes me right now, but she willingly went outside the way that the legislation was written.
Correct. She's basically, the legislature was written in such that there's obviously a need to cut beds in the program, the residential beds. There's no argument there. We've got more beds than we need at this time. But the state legislature has actually said that we need to cut the state beds first before cutting any of the private providers.
Yeah, cut the state beds first, save the taxpayers money, because it costs you folks a lot less to do what the state is currently doing. But instead of following that legislation, before that legislation kicks in, they're going around cutting all the private programs out.
Correct. That's our argument. We would like to, obviously we want to save taxpayer money. We want to close down the programs that are not needed. What we would like for them to do is to take time in making that decision and close the programs down that are less effective, more expensive, so that they're basing that on merit. What has happened to Crossroads is we are up against a contract that's expiring on the 30th of June, and the new budget year started July 1. So at least initially their theory was they could just not renew the contract and it would be less beds they would have to cut when the new year started. Doing that is real easy, it's convenient, but it's not in the best interest of the taxpayer. And it's certainly not in the best interest of the kids. And that's the focus that I would like for this to be on. It's not about anything but the kids and what's in the best interest of the kids. And I think if they would just take their time and make the decisions based on merit, that we would be fine. We've got a program that's been around for almost three decades. And we are definitely impacting the kids in our community in Southwest Florida.
And how many programs like this, like Crossroads, are there throughout the state?
At one time, they have been making some cuts. I'm not sure the exact number, but I think there was close to 74, the last statistics that I saw. And the good thing is the need for the beds has been reduced, but the need for the bed to be eliminated altogether, that they will have no residential beds, is not a possibility. There always going to be a need, and we need to match that need, but we need to make good choices about the programs that we're letting go. And when you've got a community like Charlotte County that's supporting a program like this, it's invaluable, because it's not just the program that we put the kids through, it's also the involvement of the community. They actually get out and work in our community, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so proud to call Charlotte, my homes, because there's so many people in this community that really care about the kids, and they're the ones that are really voicing their opinion right now. And they've been on our website. We've got over 1,300 people that have signed the website. Again, that's supportcrossroads.com.
Now, I'm sure that the governor at this point has heard about what's going on. Is he's just relying upon the head of the Department of Juvenile Justice to handle this situation, or is he going to be able to step in and say, hey,
well,
what gives?
He can step in at any time, and that's what we're hoping for. Right now, the only information that we've gotten back is that he is allowing the Department of Juvenile Justice to make that decision. And what we're hoping through the everybody coming out tomorrow night at 6 o'clock and supporting the town hall meeting is that we'll make enough noise that they will be forced into making a decision to look a little bit closer and to make these decisions based on merit as opposed to just what's convenient.
Now, I understand that Mike Herodopoulos has a similar program in his district.
There's a program on the Space Coast, correct, over, and I think it's in Melbourne, is where that's located.
And he makes a phone call and they get a 6-month extension.
That, I'm not sure how that all took place. I know that program was given a 6-month extension. Whether or not his involvement was, he was involved in that decision, I'm not aware of that, specifically. But I do know that the local politicians, we've got, on our side, we've got Paige Kriegel, we've got Ken Roberson.
Yep.
They've been very vocal and very positive, trying to work with us and help and support the cause for Crossroads, and that's what I'm concerned
As well as many people in the community. Lee Swift, again, who was also a board member that we had on the show, very passionate about keeping this program alive. Again, it does a better job than what the state programs do in regards recidivism, and they do it for less money.
Correct.
And you also, I mean, the kids coming out of there, I mean, are well disciplined, and they've been taught how to accept responsibility, because you provide them with a ton of responsibility.
Absolutely. Kenny, you brought up another good point I want to make sure everybody knows. We want you to come tomorrow night at 6 o'clock to support the town hall meeting, but one of the things that a lot of people are not aware of is we have coming back 5 people that have graduated from our program. We've got one of the mothers of one of our students that came through our program years ago that actually went on to Embry-Riddle and graduate from Embry-Riddle after leaving our program, and his mother's going to be coming and talking. We have 4 other students that are going to come back and give their testimony. And one of the things that I've been privileged to do the last couple of years is I've been able to go to our board meeting up in Tampa, and that's where we're part of AMI Kids out of Tampa. There's 56 programs around the country, and we are actually, during that board meeting that we go to, all the board members from all the different programs and the executive directors, we have kids come in from all over the country that are give their testimony about how that particular program impacted their lives. And I can tell you just personal experience, there's not a dry eye in the audience when they get through with their testimony. It's very touching, very moving. And you will be able to, to witness some of our local kids that are coming back and giving their testimonies tomorrow night. So I hope you'll come out for that too as well.
And again, that's at 6 p.m. tomorrow night at the Charlotte Harbor Event and Conference Center. And you can log on to supportcrossroads.com for more information on that. And if you could, kind of tell us a little bit about, for those who haven't heard, tell us a little bit about what you guys provide at AMI Crossroads.
Okay. Most of our kids that come out to the program, all of the kids have been adjudicated through the system. They've come out as a judge's order, and they're anywhere from 14 to 18 years old. One of the things that we work with them on behavior modification. There's an educational component, and there's several things that we do. One of the things that I find that's the most impactful is when the kids show up at our program, they typically fit into one of 2 categories. And I do a pizza dinner out at the program where we have people from the community that attend. And when you're meeting that kid for the first time, the young man, they'll either they'll look you right, they'll kind of size you up to kind of figure out what's going on and what they can get from you, or they really won't look you in the eye. They don't really have a whole lot of respect for themselves or anyone else. And it's amazing, once they've been a part of our program for just about 2 months, that's when I start seeing the change in them. At that point, they will come up to me, introduce themselves, look me straight in the eye, tell me how they're doing, want to know about how my family and how my little girl's doing, because a lot of times I take out my family when I go out to the program for these dinners. And it's just amazing to see that change that comes about while they're in the program and how that impacts them when they're there.
And worst case scenario, how does a program like that survive?
I'm not sure if I understand the question.
Well, without a state contract, does that shut the program down completely, or can you still maybe go to an even more private type of program?
No, sir. If they stop sending us kids, they are in control of the kids. If they don't renew the contract, we will not be getting any more kids. We would be.
So it's like parents couldn't send their kids as a last resort.
No, sir. We would be closing the program down completely.
All right. And again, when you're talking budget, how does it compare with the state?
With the state budget, we're less expensive, and that's one of our key components of our argument, is that we are less expensive to operate. We have a budget that also comes in from the school district, and then we have other private investors. United Way is another big investor of Crossroads, and they give us money each year. And then we have private donations in the community that's very beneficial. So with all that, our budget is, even with those included, our budget is a lot less expensive to operate than the state program.
And when you say community, we're not just talking about Charlotte County, we're talking about DeSoto, Lee, because some of their kids also will wind up in this program too.
It would be nice if all the kids were from our community, but that's depending on what's.
Well, they're going to wind up in our community,
right?
You know, and if they're not, the the chance of recidivism is a lot higher in a state-run program.
Correct.
And in our community is in our community. I mean,
Right.
crime knows
they're-
no boundaries.
Right, and it's not, you look at it, it's about the kid. It doesn't really matter where the kid's from. They're gonna
Yeah.
be from Southwest Florida. Many of them are from Charlotte County. But basically, if you can take a kid that's on the wrong path and turn them around.
Yeah.
The kids that come to us have been arrested on an average of 10 times. And once they come through our program, since we've been in business for the last 26 years, almost 3 decades, our record is about 75% success rate. Last year, we were rated at 81% successful. So what that means is if we have 100 kids that go through our program, 81 of those kids will not go back to crime. And if you're looking at the statistic before they get to us, if they've been arrested 10 times,
Yeah.
that means that, not that it's not the kid's fault, but our system has failed that kid for 9 times because they've been arrested and they haven't changed. So that kid coming to us on the 10th time, and we can turn them around 75% of the time averaged out over the years, or 81% last year. That's an incredible statistic.
It is.
And if we can do that less expensively than the state-run programs, it just would make a lot more sense if they took their time making the choices on what they're going to close. And again, it comes down to choices, and that's one of the things that we teach our kids. You can make a choice in a split second that will have an outcome that will impact you for years to come. And that's what we try to teach our kids when they come to us. If they are making a choice on what they're going to do, it can have a positive outcome or it can have a negative. It can impact whether they go to jail or whether they go to college. And this is a great time for us to model to those kids and teach them about the choices. And I think it's time for the Department of Juvenile Justice to step up, reevaluate what they're doing as far as which programs.
Yeah, what are they
choosing to
doing? Are
close.
they just trying to, are they just trying to protect state jobs?